And we are live. You already know who it is. My name is Mike Kyle, aka the Fantasy Vulture. I have over a decade worth of fantasy football experience and have continuously competed for fantasy championships over the course of the past 6 seasons. Let's make it 7 in 2020. But enough of me, I'm here for you. On today's episode of the FV Show, we are going to kick off our Week 3 NFL game previews, all through the lens of fantasy football. And where else do we start other than the Miami Dolphins versus the Jacksonville Jaguars on Thursday night? But before we get started with this game preview, a few quick things from you. First off, smash that subscribe button like a power running back up the middle so that you never miss a video from me. And if you are excited for this video in particular, be sure to hit that like button down below, like an open receiver downfield Gardner Minshew style, just to kind of show your support for Thursday night. It's week 3. Can you guys believe this? We are already approaching a quarter of the way through the NFL season. Like, this is the most crazy time of year for me personally anyway. But then you just slowly realize, oh shit, like we are actually in the middle of this thing and the weeks are going to go by super, super quick. But enough of me talking, enough of me yapping out stuff that you guys don't care about. You guys came here to listen to me talk about this game and the fantasy implications of it. So let's dive right in, shall we? The Miami Dolphins taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars in Duval. All right, let's talk some game notes here. The game notes are here instead of printed off. It's fine. Don't worry about it. So the over-under for this game is 48.5. It's a crazy high over-under, all things considered. Just considering like the state of these two franchises, right? Jacksonville's trying to avoid the tank, and we don't know what the Miami Dolphins are currently doing right now. Are they tanking? Are they not? They drafted Tua in the first round this year, obviously. So where does this leave them as it currently stands? I don't think anybody actually knows. They're just kind of in like this weird state of floating, of just hovering above the tank line while not actually tanking. It's a mess in Miami right now, but it's actually really fun because they do have some pieces as currently stands. So Jacksonville is 1-1. Honestly, the surprise team of the league so far. They've remained competitive through both of their first 2 games, obviously taking home the Week 1 victory against the Colts and then putting up a great battle against the Titans, a nice little come from behind push. Unfortunately, they lost the game as time expires, but like this team fights and this team plays hard for all 60 minutes of the NFL game. And like obviously, Gardner Minshew's been the main story here, but they do have a lot of actually really talented players. We're going to go over a few of them in just a moment, speaking of this game preview. And really just seeing the way that Doug Marrone honestly has coached these guys up in a way where they're literally just going to scrap, claw, and fight for all 16 games. You know, like tank is not in their vocabulary, even though that was the expectations for them coming into this season. And I personally really do like that. I am an anti-tanker. I hate tanking. I hate the thought of tanking because I am just such a hyper-competitive person. For example, my Dynasty team this year, when you were looking at it on paper going into the season, it didn't look all too great. But my mindset throughout the entire offseason was we're going to do the fastest rebuild in Dynasty history. And it literally took me all of 3 months. And now here I am, 1-1, still battling for playoff spots still, and the team looks pretty fucking good. All things considered. I've hit on a few draft picks already, made a few roster moves, and we're smooth sailing. But enough of that. So going back to Gardner Minshew, he's tied for the league in passing touchdowns with 6, only tied with Russell Wilson. He's also had 3 straight games of 3 touchdowns dating back to 2019. So I believe that either ties or breaks a franchise record in Jacksonville. Basically, Minshew is playing out of his mind right now, all things considered. And the Dolphins are currently 0-2. Granted, their first 2 weeks are going up against Cam Newton and the Patriots and the red-hot Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen and this, I don't even know what, this transformation of a quarterback in Josh Allen, this transformation of the Buffalo Bills offense, just taking multiple steps and leaps forward. So they've ran into 2 buzzsaws, admittedly, to start the season. And now they face a red-hot, is red-hot the wrong word for the Jacksonville Jaguars? A trending upward Jacksonville Jaguars team in Week 3 on the road. As far as injuries for this game goes, DJ Chark, wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars, is questionable with a chest injury. He did not practice Wednesday, but he had limited work on Monday and Tuesday. So his status is uncertain, and this actually plays a big factor in who you're starting and who you're sitting entering this game. I know I have Chark on a roster, and I'm still not entirely sure what to do with him. He is going to be a game-time decision for Thursday night. Davante Parker, who's been battling a hamstring injury pretty much all season long, and all the way dating back through training camp, he's a full go. So he's healthy. He's ready to go. He played in that game versus Buffalo. He scored a touchdown after I told you, of course, to sit him. Naturally, he's going to go out and score a touchdown against the Bills, where he really had no reason even scoring in that game because he was battling back from the hamstring injury and just because the secondary in Buffalo is so excellent. And, of course, he's going to find his way into the end zone when everything told you not to play him. He's going to put up 6 for the Dolphins. All right, moving over to some start-sit here. This game, again, this over-under is 48.5. And the reason why it's so high, even though these two teams admittedly are not great, is because of the fact that both of these defenses are not good. That's just kind of how this works, right? So this, sneaky shootout is written all over this game, right? Yes, the over-under, it says Vegas think it's going to be a shootout. But if you were to ask, I think, the average NFL fan, they're going to be like, no, that game's going to stink. I'm so excited for this game. In all honesty here. So for me, it's Minshew season. It's officially Minshew season, right? I talked all off season long about how I love Minshew coming into this season. The reason being is, one, the cast around him I thought was a little bit underrated. Number 2, just how great he played last year. Just coming in as that 6th round pick, not really, having any security. Because Nick Foles was there. He obviously came in when Foles was injured, and he played great. But he was always just kind of going back and forth on and off the field with Nick Foles returning from that collarbone injury. So now, this was his job, right? So you knew that the cast of weapons was fine. This is his job now. There's no one else behind him. He has the rushing upside. And if they were going to be trailing because of their bad defense, that's going to give him more opportunities to throw. And last but not least, with Jay Gruden being the offensive coordinator, we've seen what he has done with quarterbacks in the past, including Andy Dalton, turning Andy Dalton, having the best year of Andy Dalton's career with him, and then Kirk Cousins multiple times finished as the top 10 fantasy quarterback. So everything, the stars aligned here for Gardner Minshew, and he's proving it right now during the early parts of the season. The other underrated thing about Minshew, I think this is the thing that really gets lost. Don't quote me on this. I know for a fact he led the NCAA in passing yards, but I think he also led the NCAA in passer rating as well. So Gardner Minshew being a gunslinger, this is nothing new. If you guys aren't aware, Mike Leach, the head coach at Eastern Washington, that's where Minshew's from. The head coach at Eastern Washington, I forget where Leach is at now. But before Minshew went to Eastern Washington, Leach literally told him, he said, hey, do you want to come lead the nation in passing? So this is nothing new for Minshew. I've talked about Minshew all offseason long. I drafted Minshew in my league of record, and I didn't start in weeks 1 and 2, admittedly, because I had the stones to draft him, but I didn't have the balls to play him. And now that I know what I'm getting on a pretty consistent basis, nonetheless, it's Minshew season. I'm looking to trade Ryan Tannehill on the high as we speak, as I'm recording this video. So, you're starting Minshew if you have him, safe start this week. You're starting James Robinson. I've talked about this before. Me missing on James Robinson in both leagues, that's going to haunt me all season long. I even tweeted that the other day. Just looking at the work he's getting and how productive he is with the work, oh my goodness, what a find. What a find by the Jaguars, and what a find on your fantasy team as well. So I'm starting James Robinson and Minshew with confidence. For me right now, the question becomes Keelan Cole, DJ Chark, what are you doing with them? So here's the breakdown, okay? Keelan Cole has had 12 targets, 11 receptions, 105 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns for a total of 28 fantasy points through the first 2 weeks of the season. DJ Chark has had 7 targets, 7 receptions, 109 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown, leading for him to have 20.4 fantasy points. So the big difference here between Keelan Cole and DJ Chark through 2 weeks is 1, a touchdown, and number 2, volume. Other than that, their stats, the yardage is identical. So if Chark, just thinking about this now, I'm trying, for me personally, so I'm trying to find ways for me to play DJ Chark this week, and I want to. I really, really do. Like, this to me is a great match. Like, this is the matchup where you play Chark. If I knew Chark was 100% healthy, I'm playing Chark over Allen Robinson this week in my lineup personally. That's not to say that Robinson is a bad matchup against Atlanta, but yo, I just feel like I need my team currently just needs a spark, and I think DJ Chark is a guy like this could be the breakout game for him that he needs to get things back on track. But for me, really, the interesting name here is Keelan Cole, right? If you've been a fan of the Jacksonville Jaguars for a bit, you know who Keelan Cole is. Before I broke up with the Jaguars, I was well aware of who Keelan Cole was. Air Cole, as they call, or Air Cole, is that what it is? That's what his Twitter handle is. Air Cole 3, I think. Anyway, I like Keelan Cole, the prospect. I like Keelan Cole, the player. The issue is he's never had any level of consistency, and that's really been the downfall of his career so far, especially in fantasy. But with this offense, it looks right now through 2 weeks, that Keelan Cole is the number one option in Jacksonville. And I don't know if that's a permanent thing. I don't know if this is a Keelan Cole thing or a negative thing about DJ Chark. I'm not entirely sure what to make of it just yet. But here's what I do know. That Keelan Cole is being really fucking productive for you every single week so far. And every single week obviously only means 2 weeks. But it's a level of consistency that I find to be a bit bizarre for a guy that had little buzz all off season long. So I do just want to pull this up real quick. Let's see. So Keelan Cole, right? So like I said, he has 12 targets. And it's not like in one game he had 3 and in the other game he had 9. Nah, in week 1 he had 5 targets, 5 receptions for 47 yards and a touchdown. And then in week 2 versus Tennessee, 7 targets, 6 receptions for 58 yards and a touchdown. Like, these numbers are similar through 2 weeks. And I think that's the interesting thing that you have to, like, just pay attention to, right? Because Chark's numbers are kind of like that same realm too. For DJ Chark, he had 3 targets and then 4. Let's pull this up. Right? Yeah, that's what he did. Yeah, because he had 3 targets 3 receptions and a touchdown versus the Colts, and 4 for 4 for 84 versus the Titans. So for me personally, I'm pretty comfortable playing both this week. I would like to see DJ Chark. I would like to see him practice on Wednesday for this Thursday night game with that chest injury. But I think all things considered, just because of the way that this game is expected to go, I think you have confidence playing both. Like, are you sitting any Jacksonville Jaguar this week in this matchup versus the Dolphins, where we've seen Minshew play well throughout the first 2 weeks of the season? The expectation is that that's not going to end anytime soon. I think you're comfortable, honestly, playing the main 4 members of the Jacksonville Jaguars, being Keelan Cole, DJ Chark, James Robinson, and Gardner Minshew this week. Man, I'm still just like looking over, and I'm literally just in my head here trying to figure out what to do with Keelan Cole. Like, the numbers, like, that's the thing, right? I've talked about this before, I approach fantasy in a way that combines chess and math. And the math is adding up, but the chess piece just isn't moving, and that's really what I'm trying to process right now as I'm talking about it. Because we spent all offseason long talking about how great DJ Chark is going to be. And it's Keelan Cole who's getting the primary work here, it seems. It's just very, very, very bizarre. Something that we're going to have to adjust our expectation to moving forward throughout the season as we progress throughout the year. All right, moving over to the Miami Dolphins. There's one player in particular who I really want to spend a lot of time on. But you're starting Davante Parker. You're starting Mike Gesicki. Gesicki played great last week. 130 yards and a touchdown. He finished with 23 fantasy points. And Davante Parker, again, they said he's full go. And if Davante Parker is full go against a bad defense in 2020 or 2019, you play Davante Parker in that matchup, and especially if Ryan Fitzpatrick is still the quarterback there. So you're starting those 2 players with confidence. I'm not starting Preston Williams. I think I've talked about this in did I do a Miami recap? I did. I did a Miami recap, and I did the Miami Bills recap. I think I might have talked about it then. If not, I definitely talked about it in week 1. I'm done with Preston Williams, dude. It's just not there. What we thought it could, whatever we thought it could be, currently has not materialized. If you want to hold, I don't know if I can fault you for it because he is still, he's still trying to make his way to be 100% coming off of that ACL surgery. But as of right now, like, there are just other guys who I think I'd rather have. Like, if the wide receivers maybe on your waiver wire right now, just going off top of the head, I know who's on mine. I'll pull this up actually. So for me, hang on, we're gonna sort this by. Okay, so if Traquan Smith is still on your waiver wire, I would rather have Traquan over Preston. I'm just gonna start naming people I would play, or wide receivers I would rather have than Preston Williams right now. Traquan Smith, N'Keal Harry. Let's see. Let's go down just a little bit. Golden Tate, Michael Pittman Jr., Deshaun Jackson, Laviska Shenault, who's another player on this Jags offense who I'm willing to start this game. Like, just start your Jags, right? The name of the game for this Thursday night game honestly might just be just start everybody, just because the way that this game is likely to play out. All right, now back to Preston Williams. Sorry for the side tangent there. Laviska, N'Keal Harry. Did I say N'Keal Harry? I think I might have. Golden Tate, Zach Pascal, especially with that Paris Campbell injury. Chase Claypool's a guy who I would rather have because of the potential in Pittsburgh. KJ Hamler's an interesting name. Like, there are just other guys who I think I'd rather take the shot on than the number 2 option on a admittedly bad offense. Or I guess number 3 option because Gesicki's your number 2, than the number 3 option on an admittedly bad offense. So whatever we thought Preston Williams could be, I just don't think it's materialized, and I think you kind of have to cut bait. And I don't think anybody's going to be rushing to grab him if you release him, so you can probably pick him back up later on if the breakout actually does happen. But the player who I really want to talk about right now, and I know that we're running a little bit longer, I felt like there was a lot to talk about here, so I apologize for that. But the Myles Gaskin breakout is coming, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this. I've been saying this now this is week number 2, saying that you need to go pick up Myles Gaskin. And it's funny because as I say that, he is currently sitting on the waiver wire in my league of record. And the only reason why I do not have him is because these are my running backs in this league. I have Henry, Eckler, Gurley, Ronald Jones, Fournette, Antonio Gibson, DeAndre Swift, Josh Kelly. I literally do not have room to pick up another running back because then I currently only have 3 wide receivers, Robert Woods, Allen Robinson, and Chark. I have 2 quarterbacks with Tannehill and Minshew. Like I said, I'm trying to work on trading Tannehill as we speak. And then I have Deebo Samuel actually on my IR spot as well. So I do not have room to add anybody right now just because of the way that my roster is currently constructed, and it makes me so sad because the breakout is coming for Myles Gaskin. So let's dive into some analytics and some factoids for you about Myles Gaskin. So the buzz and the hype went in all offseason long about Jordan Howard, right? The Dolphins brought in Jordan Howard. I believe it was a 2-year deal. So they bring in Howard. And Jordan Howard has been great every single place that he's played. That's completely correct. I was high on Howard coming into the season. I was actually really high on Howard coming into the season because of the opportunity that I thought he would have here in Miami. Jordan Howard has played 17 snaps through the first 2 weeks. That is 12% of the Dolphins' offensive plays. He has been saved in both weeks by 2 goal line touchdowns, 1 in each game. That's it. Other than that, he has had a game of 5 carries and a game of 7 carries. And each time, he was only successful in those games because he had a goal line touchdown. That was it. Matt Breida, a player who they traded for on draft night. I believe they traded a 6th-round draft pick for him to the 49ers. Matt Breida has played 21% of the snaps, a total of 30 offensive snaps. And he has not done a whole lot with them, admittedly. Hasn't seen a whole lot of receiving work. Hasn't done much of anything on the ground as well. Myles Gaskin. Myles Gaskin, running back from Washington, right? There we go. Yep. Running back from Washington. Year number 2. He has, I'm going to say this number nice and confidently. Myles Gaskin has played 88 snaps through the first 2 weeks. 64% of the Miami Dolphins offensive plays nearly 3 times the amount that Matt Breida has seen, and who knows how many times. What's 87 divided by 17? Let's do some math here. I'm sorry, 88 divided by 17. And 5 times the amount of snaps that Jordan Howard has played. So what the fuck are we talking about here? You need to go sprint to your waiver wire to pick up Myles Gaskin. Like, just do it, right? I know, I understand how disgusting it is to have a Dolphins running back on your team. But, Myles Gaskin is not just a running back. He's also a pass catcher. He has 11 targets through the first 2 weeks, 4 in week 1, and 7 in week 2. He caught 6 of his 7 targets last week. He's being used not only on the ground, but also through the air as well. He has led the Dolphins in rushing attempts through the first 2 weeks. In both games. Like, that's not just a collective. That is through each game. He has led the team in rushing attempts. He has led the team in targets out of the backfield. So why are we not talking about this more? Please, I'm begging you. Please go pick up Myles Gaskin. It might not feel good, and it might be a while until you're actually confident starting him. But once we get into bye weeks and you need that player that you can just plug into your lineup and hope and pray that good things happen, but there's a chance that they will, because you know he's going to get the ball 14 times. Maybe if it is just 7 carries, and maybe it is just 7 targets, but still, the opportunity is there with 14 attempts week in and week out. And that number, honestly, can only go up. It can only go up. Like I said, he is playing 64% of the snaps right now. And he's competing, quote unquote, with 2 other running backs. I'm here for it. I'm so here for it. I've talked about this before. I unironically missed out on James Robinson earlier in the year. And I feel like I recovered that and I rebounded with Myles Gaskin. So it's so fun. It's actually really cool that this is the matchup that is being played on Thursday night in prime time this early on in the season. Just because it's 2 running backs where if you added them, there's a good chance that you're just boosting your running back depth. Obviously, James Robinson has performed extremely well early on in the season, but I think Myles Gaskin is honestly just going to be a hidden gem that's going to emerge starting in week 3 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. So thank you so much for watching this Thursday night preview versus the Miami Dolphins versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, versus the Miami Dolphins. Like, what am I talking about? This Thursday night preview with the Miami Dolphins taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. There we go. What, 3rd time's a charm there? All right. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. I'm not entirely sure what things are going to look like moving forward. Obviously, the goal has been to try and do a game preview for every single game, then a game recap for every single game. But admittedly, this shit takes a lot of time, and when you're working 45 hours a week, it's tough to get around to everything. So we are just trying to navigate the process and figuring out what works and what doesn't. So please bear with me. I do encourage you to subscribe, though, because the content is coming, and it is coming quick. That's it. Remember, people come and go, but fantasy championships are forever. I will see you in the next video.